Welcome back to HPL. We saw Zalae take a 1-0 lead here in this match. And you know what? He came out aggressive, stayed aggressive, finished aggressive, and got the win. He got to weave in some hero powers there, kept his mana utilization high, and he got an early win here against Zalae.
Yeah, the fact that he's had this aggression early on, I wonder if that's exactly what he's going to continue to do. It's historically what we've seen in the past from him, so I expect him to do it again, but now he has an opportunity to mix up that aggression and kind of throw in a curveball here. If he thinks that ErA is going to adjust to that sort of strategy, maybe try to play a longer game. Yeah, this is the real intricate part of HPL, is once you get a win or a loss, you have to figure out what your opponent's going to do, because you can make any changes in between the games that you want, any clash changes, any card changes. So it's really interesting to see the order that people put in their decks and to see what they play. And speaking of what they play, we're about to find out, because we're getting into game 2 here between Zalae and ErA. Yeah, get out there on Twitter, use that hashtag HPL, let everyone know who you're supporting and who you think is going to win. And it looks like ErA kind of going with the exact same strategy here. You know, those all look like handlock cards to me. And Zalae, I mean, this is kind of his bread and butter, man, this warrior deck. Grim Patron is not a joke, but you know what? We're also seeing shield block in his deck as well. Yeah, we saw this earlier tonight. This is kind of a new thing for some of the Grim Patron warrior decks, but you know what? It looks pretty good, you know, like in the games that we've seen. And we saw the stats from Zalae earlier today, a 75% win rate with Warrior professional play this year. So you got to believe that he might be somewhat of a favorite this game anytime that he just plays Warrior. Yeah, shield block, you know, we talked about it earlier when Powder was playing it in his deck. I think that the access to extra removal spells can really help you handle some things like that handlock will throw at you. But you know, you have to couple those two things together. You don't just start off with them. And this hand from ErA is looking kind of ugly right now. But that Mortal Coil was quite good. Yeah, it's very good against this Loot Hoarder. That's something that is interesting to note here. And it's going to be a matter of whether or not Zalae wants to go with his Loot Hoarder now, kind of put ErA to a decision where he's either going to have to take some damage from this Loot Hoarder or forego his hero power. ErA, of course, with 2 Molten Giants in his hand, he's going to look to leverage that life total, continue to use this life tap over and over again, take that blowback, get himself to a position where he can utilize both these Molten Giants, and then bounce back from that loss of life. Now, this is a pretty interesting matchup. You're going to see this a lot in ranked play and just in all tournaments going forward. These are 2 of the best decks out there, and they are butting heads. A lot of people have been saying that Handlock is the deck to dethrone Patron Warrior as the best deck if it would to happen. Yeah, and I think that's why you're seeing that adjustment over to the Shield Slam builds, is so they have a you know, more minion kill leverage against that deck. You know, normally there's not a lot of stuff that you can actually kill from Handlock if you don't have the right tools to do it. Yeah, and you see him actually develop a Fiery War Axe here and not attack. Some interesting plays here from Zalae early in the game, but you have to believe he knows what he's doing here and he knows this matchup. Yeah, I think he just wants to get on the board, make sure he doesn't have to, you know, invest mana into that later on. And, you know, it could be one of those things, too, where he's maybe trying to put in ErA's head that he's playing something like Control, but, you know, he's going to forego that when he plays this Loot Hoarder here. So, actually, the Loot Hoarder on turn 4, this is really interesting, because when he plays it on turn 4, ErA doesn't have an opportunity to just Mortal Coil it straight away. And if he wants to do something about that Loot Hoarder, he has to forego one of those big turn 4s, either the Mountain Giant or the Twilight Drake. So when he sees the quick Mortal Coil here, I think Zalae is concluding that he doesn't have either one of those cards. Yeah, it's a great play from Zalae. Little small things like that can really win you matches. We've talked about this a lot. Throwing off your opponent's tempo and the turns that they normally do, they're backbreaking and they're really good plays with their deck. If you can make them play off of normal from that turn, it translates into wins. Yeah, every single professional that we've seen be very successful, very good at making sure they throw off their opponent's mana utilization, force them into making plays that they're uncomfortable with. When you're taking away those options from them, that means you're gaining something from that. Yeah, we're going to see ErA use a lot of blowback in this game. He's going to take a lot of damage and do a lot of damage to himself here to get an advantage here. He's going to draw a lot of extra cards. You're seeing this game kind of slowly develop, but ErA is going to keep tapping on these turns that he can and keep drawing extra cards. He's going to keep his blowback high because that's what you want to do with a Warlock to win. Yeah, this is going to be a turn where he starts to develop threats, though. I mean, at this point, he's got so many cards in his hand. He doesn't want to fill up and make sure he can't do anything, and Loatheb is a perfect style threat to counteract a potential Shield Slam after your opponent has just shield blocked. Yeah, and it's going to be this looked like it wanted to be a Coin Emperor turn as well, and that Loatheb shuts that off.
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier when he drew the Emperor. This was it was really good that he saved his coin because he's going to be able to Emperor turn sooner. And you see Zalae is actually taking it back a little bit here because that was what he was planning to do this turn, and now he can't do that.
Yeah, we just mentioned throwing off your opponent's mana. Loatheb is a way to do that. It's one of the reasons why it's so commonly found in these sexes. It's such a powerful tool to make sure that you shut off your opponent's options, and it's a 5/5 to boot.
Yeah, and it's just putting Zalae in a spot where, I mean, he honestly doesn't have that many great plays this turn.
Yeah, it looks like it's just going to be Acolyte, make sure that he can continue to find options, as ErA is going to take a very heavy initiative in this game. Not a good opportunity to leverage his life total right now to do anything. Fiery Orax won't pick up any minion kills in this situation. So in this situation, he's kind of just forced to hero power. Maybe, oh, look at that. Just as I spoke that way, this is exactly the kind of thing you see from people who are very on point. He understands that this Loatheb is a major threat right now, and so getting in this damage on it, leveraging his life total, taking that blowback, is a way that he's going to try to answer this Loatheb. He knows that ErA is not going to have a ton of pressure throughout the mid and the later stages of the game until he's able to utilize those Molten Giants, and he's already finding ways to use his life total to his advantage.
Yeah, I mean, the Molten Giants aren't going to come in anytime soon, so it's going to be interesting to see if ErA pushes for damage here or eats this Acolyte of Pain before he can draw multiple cards off of it.
Yeah, that's kind of a scary minion to leave on the board, typically one that gets targeted by a lot of things. You know, he's got Iron Beak Owl to deal with it, but I would venture to say he really wants to play this Sludge Belcher, so he is going to prioritize Iron Beak Owl. He's going to nullify that card draw from Zalae, very important, and then after he uses his Iron Beak Owl here, does he want to go ahead and kill this with his Loatheb? Is he just going to push for 5 more damage? Because in this way, the Acolyte of Pain is directly challenging that Iron Beak Owl, so a free pickup there unless he wants to use something like Sun Fury Protector to make sure that he can't attack that way, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, because it's really interesting if he just attacks the Acolyte of Pain with his Loatheb, then he opens himself up to a really bad Whirlwind turn.
Yep, so again, taking away options from your opponent, big theme of this match so far. But Zalae not under a ton of pressure here. He's at 25, but Emperor Thaurissan looks like it's so massive here. I mean, look at the combo that Zalae's got in his hand. He's got Warsong Commander, he's got Whirlwind, he's got Frothing Berserker, he's got Acolyte of Pain, and he's got Grim Patron. This is like a picture-perfect Emperor Thaurissan.
Yeah, this Emperor Thaurissan is going to have a huge effect on this game. It's going to make him be able to combo out pretty soon and make his hand way cheaper. And you can see some really big turns from Zalae as soon as next turn.
Wow, he's actually going to favor the Acolyte of Pain here. So just going to find ways to clean up board positions and make sure nothing's going on. So this is another spot, I think, where he's going to leverage his life total, taking out that 4/4
That was
taunt.
a really good draw off the top of this deck.
Battle
there.
Rage,
perfect draw.
Excellent draw. Second Whirlwind even gets picked up now. Gosh, he
even picked up a Battle Rage here. Another great.
You think that Handlock draws a lot of cards? 2 Acolytes in a Grim Patron Warrior deck draws a ton of cards.
Absolutely. I mean, he's just firing on all cylinders here this turn. This is great. It's really interesting to see if he wants to use the Whirlwind versus the Execute here. And you got to believe he's going to Whirlwind to draw another card here.
Yeah, Whirlwind sets up the Ancient Watcher perfectly. Going to take some more blowback here. Take out this 4/3. Picks up a bunch of minion kills this turn. And he ends with an Acolyte of Pain on the board. And unless ErA wants to deny 1 card draw with an Iron Beak Owl, that's an extra one he's going to pick up. Give himself more options to continue to keep this board under control.
Yeah, what a great draw and just a great turn from Zalae there. That Battle Rage was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, an insane draw that was. So Twilight Drake gonna be foregone here. He's gonna favor. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He has 7 mana. My apologies. He has exactly enough mana to make sure. And this is the full Monty Twilight Drake. But there's an Execute sitting in Zalae's hand.
Not often you get to see the 4/10 Twilight Drake, but we get to see one here. Yeah, the Execute is waiting in the wings, though, to kill this Twilight Drake from Zalae. It's going to be interesting to see how it develops the rest of his turn, but you got to believe that something like Execute Emperor Thaurissan is an actual, just like really clean and efficient turn. But we've seen him play, he didn't play Emperor Thaurissan last turn, so maybe he's, oh, there we go.
Yeah,
he's going to play it now.
At this point, and you have this many cards in your hand, Emperor is kind of like the last point. So again, taking more blowback. Zalae's taken 13 blowback this game. I mean, all the damage that's been dealt to him has basically been from himself. This showing you kind of how aggressive he is at attacking board positions. Not just attacking your life total, but making sure that he has a stranglehold over the board. This is excellent play from Zalae this game.
Yeah, I mean, been a really good play from ErA as well. This game has been really good, really back and forth. ErA's going to owl this Emperor Thaurissan here so he doesn't get any more charges off of it, but it does leave behind a 5/5 body, which...
Another Battle Rage. This looks like it could be a massive turn from Zalae. I'm not even going to begin trying to count the possibilities here, but this looks like it could be disastrous.
Yeah, this turn, if he starts off with a Warsong Commander, expect fireworks. This is going to be a huge Frothing Berserker turn.
Yeah, there's the Crawling Berserker. There's the Grim Patron.
Patron.
Everyone, get in here!
Yeah, there's what we'll be waiting for. But yeah, this turn is going to be a huge one from Zalae.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just gonna sit back and watch.
Yeah. This is like that part of the Price is Right game where like someone really guesses bad and the yodeler just climbs up the hill the whole way and eventually
You're really showing your age here, Nathan.
Oh my gosh. You know, thankfully for ErA, he's got a Shadow Flame in his hand, so maybe going to be able to stabilize his board position. But this is a ton of 9, 10, 11, 12.
That's only a 9-point Frothing Berserker. He's got nothing on the 14-point one we saw earlier tonight.
Yeah, down to 2 is not a comfortable position when your opponent's got weapons in their hand. He has to clear this board and find a way to protect his life total.
Ancient Watcher was a pretty decent draw with a Shadow Flame here, though.
He might not be able to afford that kind of mana even. Because, again, he's got to find a way to protect himself. So the fact that he's got 2 Molten Giants here, actually a very big blessing. You know, sort of instinctually, 4 mana is going to be consumed by Shadow Flame. We know that's going to happen. So with 5 mana left over, he has the option to taunt up a Molten Giant or to use Antique Healbot. And those are really his only 2 decisions.
And ErA is at 2 here, so he can't tap. He's got to clear this entire board and have a way to protect himself with a taunt here so Zalae can't kill him with a Death Spite. So this is going to be interesting. We're probably going to see something like Molten Giant, Shadow Flame, Molten Giant, Defender of Argus.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
The Antique Healbot or the Defender of Argus are really, I mean, this is the decision that he's going to have to make. But he's seen Execute already, and he's seen Shield Block. So going to taunt up here. Maybe he feels like just Shadow Flaming away the Defender of Argus is enough. You know, he's gonna clean up a lot of these minions, and his opponent's gonna be left with 2. Yeah, you got to Shadow Flame.
Yeah, you just have to clear this board.
I was like trying to think of the scenarios where I was like Shadow Flaming the Defender of Argus maybe, and it just leaves too much on your opponent's side of the board. So protected here from Death Spite. Second Warsaw.
That's
Commander.
a big draw for this game here for Zalae. Being able to charge his minions is going to be huge over these next couple turns.
I mean, he's kind of out of gas here though. He doesn't have any armor. You know, Battle Rage only is going to draw 1 card right now. He's sitting at 17.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a lot of pressure he has to face. Like 2 Dark Bombs can kill him here.
Yeah, Zalae already has 11 power in play and can finish this game out really quickly over the next turn or the next 2 turns. And not to mention, Zalae has a Lord Jaraxxus in his hand, so he can go back up to 15.
Yeah, wow. Just going to dig for 1 card here. Second Armor Smith. You know, may be able to pad some of his own life total, but this is starting to look like a bad position now.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Zalae from this turn. ErA turning it around here this last turn, really, you know, bringing the screws to Zalae now. And we might see him get on the board here and get 1-1, and we might be able to avoid our first sweep of the night.
Certainly would be a big one for him. Again, when you can beat the guy who has 75% win rate with a deck, that is a major statement to be making.
Yeah, you've got to feel like you're winning more than just 1 game there when you beat someone who's at their best with this deck.
Time is running out, and he's going to have to make a decision. I don't see anything favorable here for Zalae.
Yeah, this turn is very difficult. You're seeing Zalae really take his time. He's got to be worried about dying this turn as well, or you know, being put in a position where he's going to be dead on the next turn. He's about to take a ton of damage.
Yeah, so hopefully, I think he's kind of hoping this Armor Smith absorbs an attack from Molten Giant. I don't think it's going to be the case, but ErA going to jump back up in life total. He's got 2 ways to do it, either with the Lord Jaraxxus or with the Antique Healbot. I think a couple things are coming into effect when he chooses to use this Antique Healbot, and number 1 is utilizing taunts on the board. Grim Patron Warrior very rarely is going to play something like Brawl, and now the damage is crashing, and he does take out the Armor Smith, so I think that's a bit of a sigh of relief here, but these are way too many taunts for Zalae to be able to push through this turn.
Yeah, and ErA actually has a ton of power on the board. Depending on how Zalae plays this turn, there's a chance ErA could kill him next turn.
Yeah, available 19 damage.
Yeah, he's also got Lord Jaraxxus, so he has an extra 3 there. So Zalae is actually in trouble of dying here this turn and doesn't have a ton of options here. I mean, he's got a shield slam, but like not a lot of armor. He's got an Armor Smith that he can charge and get a couple extra points of armor with, but that doesn't actually get him anywhere.
Yeah, it's another struggle for him. Again, you know, the fact that he's taken so much blowback at this point means that you know, it's so restricted in how he does it again in the future. The big story here is not being able to utilize this Shield Slam and not having a second copy of Execute. The 2 Molten Giants proving maybe to be a little bit too much on that aggressive turn that Zalae had.
Oh yeah, we've talked about how his opening hand wasn't very good looking. He had the 2 Molten Giants immediately. He drew a Mortal Coil, got a little bit of value off of it later in the game, and you've seen him turn it around with that huge Shadow Flame turn when he was put to 2 by Zalae, and Zalae just couldn't find the last 2 points of damage to get through and kill him.
Yeah, a lot of minion kills picked up, and again, Zalae has taken so much blowback, been leveraging that life total, taking damage, using those weapon swings, and it's put him on a back foot. Time is running out, and he's got to make a play, but again, I don't see anything favorable from Zalae this turn.
Yeah, he's going to be able to pick off this anti-heal bot here, set up a whirlwind effect next turn, and maybe hopefully find a way through.
I don't know if he got that off in time.
Doesn't look like he did. And it looks like
8 mana.
Yeah, and ErA's going to be able to set up a board here that's not going to be beatable over the next 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
He's got 15 available.
He's got 15 available if he wants to.
Not quite enough, but again, just the fact that he's able to jump back up in life total, keep himself very protected. Zalae's going to have to face Lord Jaraxxus, the Eridar Lord of the Burning Legion, and this game is all but finished now for Zalae, who is down to 1.
Yeah, it looks like ErA is going to get this match tied up here at 1-1. And you know what? We're going to see our first non-sweep of the night. I'm pretty excited. I want to see more games. I want to stay up here at this desk for as long as possible. I want the full 5 here in this match.
Gonna think through his turn and make sure that there's nothing left to do. But once again, I don't see any options available for Zalae on how to stay alive this turn and actually get himself to a winning position. Yeah, that's going to be checkmate for ErA, and he's going to tie this series up at 1 game apiece, really showing you exactly how powerful Handlock is versus someone like Zalae. You know, I was talking about game 1, how I thought he needed to put Zalae on a back foot, but I see now why he's queuing up his Handlock deck. It's because it's so powerful against something like Grim Patron Warrior that Zalae is very much known for, that he's trying to find that matchup to take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely great queue up of Handlock here. He got a matchup that he wants. If you're going to play against Grim Patron, the matchup you want is with Handlock. A lot of people are talking about that is the deck that might solve the Grim Patron problem, and we're going to have to see if he can pull out the win here in game 3.
Yeah, Zalae taking so much blowback in that game, having to utilize his weapons to keep the board clear, but they were big minions, and so when you have to take that much blowback to leverage your weapons in an advantageous way, sometimes it can turn into a liability, and that's exactly what we saw. So when we come back, we're going to see game 3 versus ErA and Zalae. It's all tied up, and still anyone's game. They can change their deck in any way they want. When we come back, game 3 is going to get underway. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.